Once upon a time, about 5 eons ago, the Bodhisattva was a trader of fancy goods in the kingdom of Seriwa. Sometimes, he traveled with another trader who sold the same wares as him, but this trader tended to be greedy. One day, they decided to cross the Telawaha River to try selling their wares in the city of Andapura. After discussing it, they decided it would be silly to go together and sell the same things. So the Bodhisattva asked the greedy trader if he wanted to go across the river first or second. The greedy trader thought about it. If he went first, people would see his wares first, so they wouldn't have any reference to compare them to. They wouldn't know what was valuable and what wasn't. He could set his prices as high as he wanted to. So, the greedy trader told the Bodhisattva that he wanted to go first. The Bodhisattva agreed to go second. He realized that it wasn't a bad thing. If he went second, he would not have to haggle because the prices would already be set. And since people would have already seen the greedy trader's wares first, they would recognize that the Bodhisattva's items were higher quality and be eager to buy them. In the city of Andapura, there was a large mansion that once belonged to a rich merchant, but over time, he lost all his sons, brothers, and all his wealth. Nowadays, the only survivors were a girl and her grandmother. Their most prized possession was a golden tray that used to belong to the great merchant, but now it was covered in dirt, filth, and grime. After the greedy trader crossed the river, he came across the decayed mansion. He saw that it used to be a grand house, but had broken down due to lack of repair. He thought, maybe they have some valuables left over that they can trade. So he yelled out, "Precious wares for sale! Precious wares for sale!" The old grandmother and her granddaughter came out to greet the greedy trader. The granddaughter asked her grandmother, "Please, grandmother, buy me a trinket? Something I can play with. It's been so long since I've had a toy." Her grandmother asked the trader, "Sir trader, all we have is this tray that used to belong to the master of the house. What can you offer in exchange for it?" The greedy trader, suspecting that it might be valuable, examined the dirty tray. He flipped it over and scratched the bottom, and discovered that it was made of pure gold. He knew that this tray was worth many hundreds of thousands of silver, more than he could ever afford. He also knew that the old lady and her granddaughter probably didn't know the true value of the tray. Hoping to get the golden tray for practically nothing, he said, "You waste my time with this trash, old woman. This is not even worth a penny." He threw the tray down and said, "Maybe after I've sold my wares and if I'm in a good mood, I might stop by and give your granddaughter a trinket in exchange for that trash." After the agreed-upon time had passed, it was the Bodhisattva's turn to cross the river and sell his wares. The Bodhisattva arrived at the ruined mansion and saw a disheartened old woman and a young girl. He said, "Wares for sale, wares for sale." The grandmother waved him away, saying, "We have nothing to trade. Do not waste your time here, master trader. We don't even have anything worth enough to get a trinket for my granddaughter." The granddaughter said, "Grandma, this trader looks nicer than that other man. Maybe he will trade something for the tray." The Bodhisattva took the dusty tray and said, "I'm sorry, I cannot trade you for the tray." The granddaughter said, "I knew it. It is worthless. It's not even worth a little trinket." The Bodhisattva smiled and said, "No, you misunderstand." He cleaned the tray with some tools and handed it back to the grandmother and her granddaughter. He said, "This golden tray is worth at least 100,000 coins. My goods are only worth about 90,000 coins in total. I can't afford this tray." The grandmother then said, "The first merchant was here and told us that it was not even worth a penny. He threw it on the floor and walked away. It must be your honesty and goodness that has turned it into gold. Take it. Give us whatever you want for it." The Bodhisattva then said, "All I ask is to keep my bag, scales, and 8 coins. Otherwise, you can have all my other wares for the golden tray." After trading with the happy grandmother and her excited granddaughter, the Bodhisattva went back to the river and paid the ferryman 8 coins for the trip home. He boarded the boat smiling. He was extremely satisfied with the day's events. At that very moment, the greedy trader returned to the ruined mansion and said, "Through the kindness of my heart, I've decided to take pity on you and your granddaughter. Bring out that dirty tray and I'll give you a tiny trinket." The old woman came out and said, "You scoundrel, you told us our golden tray was not even worth a penny, but an honest trader gave us over 1,000 pieces for it. Begone, you dishonest villain." Upon hearing that the Bodhisattva had traded for the golden tray, the greedy trader exclaimed, "He has robbed me. He has caused me a terrible loss." He was so distraught that he left all of his goods and belongings right there. He took the beam off his scales to use as a weapon. Then, he sprinted towards the river. When he got to the river, he demanded the Bodhisattva turn the ferry around and bring him the golden tray. The Bodhisattva told the ferryman not to turn around. All the greedy trader could do was watch as the Bodhisattva floated away with the golden tray in hand. The greedy trader's heart grew hot with anger and the desire for revenge. He repeated to himself, "You have stolen from me. You have cheated me. You have caused me a terrible loss." He fell to his knees and grabbed 2 big handfuls of sand from the beach. As he lifted his hands to the sky, intense hatred ignited his heart. With extreme energy and concentration, he made an intense soul aspiration that would bind him for eons. "For as many lifetimes as the number of grains of sand within my 2 hands, may I follow you each and every life you were born, until I have exacted my revenge upon you, no matter how long it takes." After making his severe soul aspiration, the greedy trader was so full of hatred and anger. As he watched the Bodhisattva drift away, the sheer magnitude of his hatred made his heart give out. Blood gushed out of his mouth, and he died a painful death. The honest trader spent every future rebirth cultivating his paramitas until he was eligible to become the Buddha Gautama. However, for the greedy trader, from that day forward, every life that he was eligible, he was reborn as the nemesis of the Bodhisattva. It remained that way until the Buddha's final life. In that life, he was born as the Buddha's cousin, Devadatta, and schemed the Buddha's murder and usurpation. The evil of his deeds was so overwhelming that he was one of the few people that the earth swallowed whole. What do you think the moral of this story is? We hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you did, and click subscribe if you want to see our uploads.